Happy WNBA Monday. There is no person I'd rather be with more on a Monday than you, Callie Finn, especially when we're going to be talking the Las Vegas Aces. So listen, A'ja Wilson came back yesterday, okay? She was out due to a wrist injury, and Callie, girl, I could not tell her wrist was injured by the performance that she put on, okay? Before we dive into, like, A'ja's performance, though, like, listen, the Aces did win that game. They did. They outlasted the Valkyries. But, look, they needed the win. They fell 2 games below 500, so now they're only 1 game below 500, so they needed a win bad. But also, after the beating that the Valkyries put on them in Golden State, I still would have liked to see a bigger statement from the Aces than I saw yesterday. But the most important thing is that they got the dub, and A'ja Wilson looked great. So, Callie, you were there. You were covering the game. What were your thoughts on this game and the outcome?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely what you said about A'ja not looking like somebody with a wrist injury, that's true. 34 points and 16 rebounds is ridiculous to do that with a wrist injury. And I asked her about it post-game. I'm like, I know that a wrist injury doesn't recover overnight. And she's like, no, yeah, I am playing through it. But she was saying that, like, the medical team has really helped her feel comfortable and kept her healthy and all those things. But she was really, like, she was the story of the game for the first half. She had 25 points in the first half, and she started, like, on a mission. She had that look in her eyes. She had like 7 uninterrupted points, and then the second half was really all about Jackie Young. Jackie finished with 30 points, and she had like the final 10 points of the game for the Aces. But yeah, as you can see, that's a huge performance from A'ja. There's you talk about double-doubles. There's only been 4 double-doubles with 30 points and 10 rebounds at least in the league this year, and all but one of them belongs to A'ja. The other one belongs to Napheesa Collier. So I think that's, like, saying a lot.
How much did she put up again in the first half?
25 points. 25 points in the first half. I mean, I was just watching in disbelief because genuinely when they put out the injury report, I saw that she was questionable.
10 of 12 from the field, Callie. That's 10 of 12.
Like, absolutely flawless.
First half.
So yeah, people want to talk about, her having a special whistle, all that. Like, please cut it out. She was insanely efficient from the field and just, playing out of her mind. It was wild to me.
You make a great point when you say, like, getting to the free throw line, because yesterday, Jackie Young was excellent from the free throw line, and she got there. And I thought that, she had 30 points. You already mentioned it. But, I just thought, look, between the two of them, 64 points. But Jackie getting to the line, to me, is an indication of her being aggressive. It's an indication of her attacking. And I think the Aces really need her in that mode consistently for them this season, And so I thought that was also, like, really good to see that she got so many free throws yesterday and made them, knocked them down.
She was a perfect 11 of 11 from the free throw line on Saturday. And I do think that is key. I do think, like, the kind of bigger part of that, like, yes, absolutely, she was being aggressive.
Sunday,
but
right?
I
yesterday.
think that, like,
this game was yesterday, right?
I think that game was on Saturday.
Was it Saturday?
That game was yesterday.
Okay, go ahead. My days are off. Okay.
Yeah, no, the game was on Saturday. But I do think, her kind of closing the game out for the Aces, a lot of that was from the free throw line. And Becky Hammon talked about how difficult that can be. Like, if you're getting sent to the free throw line every other possession, and then the other team, the Valkyries, are making 3-pointers, which is what was happening. Like, those last 2 minutes, it's like Tiffany Hayes hits a 3-pointer, then she assists somebody else for a 3-pointer, and they're fouling Jackie. intentionally, probably.
That was a crazy 3-pointer.
Hoping that she's not going to make. It was wild. But I think, like, a lot of that is, like, mental. They're like, okay, we're making threes. We're going to send you to the free throw line. Let's see if you make them. And Jackie didn't show any issue.
You think that they did that intentionally to Jackie Young? Like, she can't knock down free throws?
Well, no, I do think in the final, like, minute or so, they sent her to the free throw line, like, 3 times. And, like, that's,
well, they had to foul, right? But you think that was, like, intentional?
Absolutely. And they picked Jackie. They could have picked
that's what I mean.
Foul,
like, you think it was intentional that they said, let's foul Jackie Young? That's wild to me.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna like make that statement. I just do think that like that's what it comes down to. If you're the one that keeps getting sent to the line and you have to keep on being the one that's like, okay, the pressure is mounting, they're making threes, and I only have 2 free throws to make, like that's gonna be a little bit of mind trip. And she, I mean, just soared above it is really my point.
For sure. Okay, Callie. So I need to ask you because I was watching this game on Saturday. Thank you for correcting me and reminding me of my days. Okay. I don't know why I think this game was yesterday, but okay. I was watching this game and it made me start to think because what we saw from A'ja Wilson, it was reminiscent of like what we saw from her last year, right? And
yeah.
I have a thing because I feel like people used to always do this to Stephen Curry, like in the year that he won his unanimous MVP. And it was like any year that he didn't have a year like that, it's like, well, it's not like 2016. And expecting a player to play at a unanimous season, a season in which no other player got a single MVP vote, is probably not a realistic expectation, right? And so this year, because I see a lot of A'ja fans tweeting like, and this is supposed to be a down year for her. And I'm somewhere in the middle. A'ja is still having a great season, and her production is definitely MVP level, let's be clear. Is it a down year from last year? Yes. And I don't know that she has to always reach that level. To me, when I say it's a down year for A'ja, I'm talking about things like field goal percentage. She was shooting under 50% earlier in the season. Things like that you don't normally expect from her. She had to deal with a concussion. So when she came back, her touch, things like that were off in the game. So that's what I mean why it's like not the normal like level that we see from A'ja Wilson. But make no mistake, she has been dominant. And we know she's guarded as the most dominant and, in my opinion, still best player in the WNBA. So I watched this game and I said, okay, A'ja's back. They got a win. And like many times we've said, are the Aces going to turn it around? I don't know, Callie. I don't know the answer to that question. But if A'ja has decided she's going to play like that moving forward, right? And if the Aces do sort of work their way up in the standings, does A'ja have a case to work herself into the MVP conversation?
I mean, I think absolutely that was something like even from the start of the season, you never want to count A'ja out. Like she is the reigning MVP. She should be somebody that you consider as a front runner for the award. The problem is the Aces came out and, kind of got themselves into a little bit of a hole in terms of their record. And obviously you and I have spoken about this before when it comes to, awards, WNBA awards. I mean, and just in sports in general, awards and accolades and things like that, winning does matter. And right now, Becky Hammon has said it herself. A'ja has said it herself. The Aces are an average team. And that changes 100%. Like, I think if you look at the MVP race right now, who are the obvious front runners other than Napheesa Collier? I would make a case for Alyssa Thomas.
Yes.
That's kind of like where it stops and starts for me. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to anybody else. But like to me, it's Napheesa Collier, Alyssa Thomas. She leads the league in assists. She is an important defender. Like I would not want to play against her. And she's thrust into the spotlight in Phoenix after she was, in Connecticut. Like this is like, I think the time, if you're going to make an Alyssa Thomas MVP argument, do it now. You know what I'm saying? She finished top 5 in MVP voting for the last 3 seasons. Like this could be her year. But I do think that in that conversation, A'ja should probably be involved if the Aces start winning more games.
For sure. And yeah, I think you nailed it. Those are the top 2 candidates. And look, I think because I don't know, there's just like a thing with recency bias. So like people are like, Alyssa's taking the lead from Napheesa. And I don't know that I can go there, but I think it's a closer race. And those odds that we just showed reflected that because Alyssa Thomas wasn't in those, like those were not the odds, like even just like a week ago. But what happened is, she's been playing like crazy. She was out for a little bit. And then in the head-to-head matchup, the Mercury beat in their most recent matchup, because they've actually played 3 times versus the Lynx this season. Yeah. But Alyssa Thomas was incredible in that game. She had a career high 29 points, right? So I can't believe that if that's her career high, that means Alyssa Thomas has never had a 30-point game. But 29 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. or 6, I can't even read, but 29 points, 8 rebounds, a number of assists. Let me say that, because 5 assists. I don't have my glasses with me, Callie. And
I can't read it either.
And also, like, but it was head-to-head with Napheesa Collier. And not only did the Mercury get the win, but she outdueled Napheesa Collier in that game, okay? So that made it interesting, you know, and she has the most games this season with 15 plus assists, Callie. So multiple games with 15 plus assists. So the way that Angel Reese was doing it on the boards, she's doing it with the assists, you know, and she's leading the league in assists. And we know the points may not always show up for Alyssa Thomas like that because she's creating so much for her team. That's why her nickname is the Engine. So I agree with you that to me, it's a 1 and 2 race right now. But do not sleep. Napheesa Collier is still right there. She was the player of the month, consecutive month. She was the player of the month in May, and she was the player of the month in June. And those May numbers were like ridiculous. Like, I understand that it was like a shorter season, but the tier that she started the season off on, 26.8 points, Callie, per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, okay? She's just incredible. And they had a 6-0 record at the time, and then you look at her for June, still basically 23 points per game, 9 rebounds per game. And also she missed like a couple of games because she was injured, right? And they still have the best record in the league. They have a top 2 or 3 defense, and she's a large part of that. So, and also the Mercury are up there too in their defense, and we know that Alyssa Thomas is a great defensive player. So I just think it's a closer race now, and it's more of a conversation. Like right now, I just don't think Fee is running away with it. I think if you forced me to vote today, I would probably, you know, like if I was voting, I would probably still go with Napheesa Collier. But to me, it's a very close race right now, and there's plenty of room for Alyssa Thomas to maybe get it this year. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fun thing about this conversation is we're talking about the top 2 teams in the league standings right now. And I don't know if that's what I imagined when we started the season. Like, the Lynx are at the top and the Mercury are right there at number 2. And I think, you know, a lot of that is partially because of like the Liberty kind of struggling without John Paul Jones right now. But like, these are the top 2 teams. And so it's like when we try to insert A'ja in that conversation, it's tough because the Aces are number 9 in the league standings, but that could change. And that's one thing I think about a lot. Like, you know, we're almost to the All-Star break, and we have seen things change exponentially for teams once that All-Star break ends. And so I do think like this is going to be a race to watch. Like, I don't want anybody talking about this race as if it's over or if it's closed and it's all to Napheesa. I think if the Lynx were like alone at the top of the league, then 100%. But that's not really the situation right now, you know? So no. I'm with you.
I'm letting people know that my power rankings, I'm putting the Mercury first this week just because the Lynx have dropped a few. They've lost a few games recently. And like I said, they actually have beaten the Mercury more times this season. But in both of those matchups, Alyssa Thomas did not play. They were without Collier Copper also. So, you know, I'm not saying that like you can only play who's in front of you, but it was really hard to get an idea of 100%. What these 2 teams are. And even in this game that the Mercury just won, it was missing Satu Sabally and Collier Copper. So and so it's an even bigger win that the Mercury pulled this off without those 2 players and with Alyssa Thomas having her career high and the kind of game that she did, you know? And so that counted a lot to me. Plus when you just the kind of losses that the Lynx have had lately. So Fee and Alyssa, I agree with you, are the top 2. I've heard people float some other names. I'm not going to get into them now because I think right now it is those 2 at the top and then everybody else. But we will see, and I look forward to having more MVP conversations with you, Callie. Y'all, make sure you are tuned in to the WNBA on NBC. This is where you get all things WNBA, and we will always have you locked in with the most news and analysis. Thanks, guys.